Okay, welcome back. More Depression Quest. Like I said a few minutes ago, we might actually start to see a therapist. We got the contact information and we're actually able to open up to someone. So, positive things, possibly. Well, we'll see. It's a glaringly sunny Monday, and one of the few days that your brother Malcolm is in town and free long enough for you two to actually see each other. You have a dental appointment that day, but you make plans for him to pick you up afterward. Your appointment takes a little longer than expected because your dentist tells you that you've started grinding your teeth in your sleep to a worrying degree. Given how nearly everything in your life has been feeling enormous and stressful lately, this doesn't come as a surprise to you. He suggests that you try to reduce your stress levels and fits you for a night guard. It feels awkward and too big for your mouth, and you feel embarrassed looking at your puffed out face in the mirror with it in. You finish the appointment in a hurry and leave about a half an hour overdue for meeting your always punctual brother in the parking lot. You finish up as quickly as possible and leave the building to scan the parking lot for your brother's car, but don't see his old Civic anywhere. You pass by a blue Camaro and jump as it beeps at you, causing you to jump in surprise. It takes you a moment to realize it, but it's Malcolm in the driver's seat. You hop in the passenger seat and compliment him on his new ride, and he mentions that it's a perk of the promotion he's recently obtained at work. He starts telling you about how much more money he's making, how his career is really taking off, and how he's starting to look at houses with his wife soon. You clutch the bag containing the night guard in your hand and feel yourself clench your teeth as you think of your crummy apartment and how long it's been since you've been able to take a day off work without having to worry about and make ends meet. He's only 2 years older than you, but it feels like he's eons ahead of you in every other aspect of your lives. So, he asks, how did your apartment go? Appointment? He does have a lousy apartment, as he just mentioned. Did you get drilled full of holes or what? A sense of shame creeps over you. Two of the choices we just don't have the confidence for. So either we lie to him, tell him it was a routine cleaning, or tell him about our tooth grinding problem, but not about why we have the tooth grinding problem. So red is 3, blue is 4. We don't really know how close they are, if this is someone that we can confide in, but it seems like most of you are saying that we should tell him about the tooth grinding problem. That we should try to avoid, I guess, lying as much as possible, because that probably will not go very well for us. The dentist said that I'm apparently grinding my teeth too much when I sleep. Oh? Malcolm replies. Been stressed out lately, kiddo? Deciding that you don't really want to go into it. And you tell him that you don't think that's the case, and it's probably just a random thing. He doesn't pry further, and instead begins reminiscing with you about the time you chipped a baby tooth because he accidentally knocked you over once. You go out for dinner and catch up on things, but you still feel somewhat distracted by the gnawing anxiety in the back of your mind. Though you enjoy your brother's company, and you still feel like you want nothing more to go home and hide from the world tonight. It becomes hard for you to try to stuff all of your horrible feelings down and go emotionless when someone like the dentist can see a fraction of what goes on inside your head. It leaves you feeling embarrassed and weak, and you hate yourself for feeling that way. You wonder if you're really fooling anyone into thinking you're a normal person, and then you wonder if your brother knows, and he's hanging out with you out of pity tonight. After he drops you back off at your apartment, you throw the night guard out. You can't stand to even look at the thing. So I guess our teeth will still keep a-grinding. No choices we can make. So let's continue on. It's a dry Sunday morning. You grab your morning coffee and scoot your rapidly growing kitten off of your office chair, and despite her protests, sit down at your desk to check your email. A new message pops up at your inbox almost as soon as you do. It's from Amanda, and you remember your meeting in the cafe and awkwardly bringing up your feelings to her. "Hey, buddy. Hey, sorry it's been a few weeks. I meant to get this to you sooner, but it took a while for me to get a hold of my folks back home. Dad told me to say hi, by the way. Anyway, I remembered what we talked about last time, and I hope you aren't insulted, but I asked my mom for the number for her therapist. Don't worry, I didn't tell her who it was for. I think she's worried about me now, though." Anyway, the number is 647-723-5274. It's a really good office. You should look into it. Talking to someone never hurts. If you're worried about money, don't be. They're one of the few that has a really good sliding scale fee system and won't charge you what you can't afford. I hope you're feeling better. It was really nice to see you again. A. It's still early enough that you could call and make an appointment today. Your kitten curls up in your lap as you consider what to do. Well, again, the first two choices are not an option. We can't actually call the number. I mean, you could try calling the number if you want. I doubt it's a real number. I doubt 647 is an actual area code. But the choices we make right now, looks like you're already making it. You want to go with number 3, sleep on it, and see how you're feeling in the morning. You're not keen on the idea at all, but you don't want to disappoint Amanda. So it looks like you guys want to pursue the idea of seeing a therapist, even if our character does not. The thought of picking up the phone and calling wait, is it real? 647? It's in Toronto. All right. So I guess there's a really good therapist somewhere in Toronto that this game is advertising, maybe. Or maybe it's just a random person entirely, in which case they probably just should have used a fake phone number for this game. Yeah, go ahead and call the number and see if they can help you with your crippling depression. The thought of picking up the phone and calling someone about this right now is overwhelming. Sure, you're having a hard time lately and have motivation issues, but are you really in need of therapy? Shouldn't you be able to just get over it yourself? What if they put you on medication that makes you feel like a zombie? What if you go and the therapist looks down on you? What will Alex think about this? Trying to think about all these things at once makes it feel like a very big deal, and you decide to take your time to think about it. The rest of the day passes quickly, and that night you have a hard time trying to sleep because your brain is too busy thinking about all these things, and imagining all of the ways it could go horribly wrong. The next morning, you check your email again with a blurry eyes and a mewing kitten. Amanda's email is still there, seemingly waiting for you. You're no more decided than you were yesterday. What now? Yeah, we haven't actually talked to our girlfriend much, have we? So red is 2, blue is 3. Looks like you're all thinking red because we are now actually being given an option to maybe call the number? Maybe. Still doesn't say for certain if we're going to do it. But let's go with it. You read through Amanda's email 2 or 3 times and sit and stare at your computer for a while. While the memory of that uncomfortable conversation makes you feel newly embarrassed and self-conscious, part of you is also encouraged by the fact that she cared enough to get back to you at all. Sitting in front of your computer, you start to question things like whether or not Amanda sent you this number out of pity or perhaps some sense of obligation after having listened to you. You question her motives and the validity of her concern, and whether or not you think seeing a therapist would even be helpful. Yet almost unconsciously, you reach for your phone, and before you realize what's happening, you're listening to the therapist's line ring. Before you can bring yourself to hang up, you listen to the slightly clinical but not unpleasant voice of the receptionist asking how she can help you. I'd like to make an appointment with the doctor. You manage to stammer out. The conversation is quick, not nearly as unpleasant as you were fearing, and quicker than you can say Freudian slip, you've scheduled an appointment. Quicker than you realize, appointment day rolls around. What do you do? Alright, so, red is 2, blue is 3, green is 4. Do we head to the therapist's office? Sit in our car terrified? Or just go back to bed because it's all pointless anyway? Sit terrified in the car. Looks like that you're all saying red. We're gonna go into this therapist's office. We're gonna do it. We're going to do it. No more stalling. No more delaying. We're gonna go to that therapist's office. You have your first session with your new therapist, Dr. Susan Melville, a tall woman in her mid-40s, with a disarming demeanor and patient eyes with the start of the slightest smile lines. She makes you feel comfortable fairly early, which is a pleasant surprise after all of your anxiety over the appointment. As you leave, you make a second appointment. You're still skeptical at all this, but you figure you might as well see where this goes. The hardest part, it seems, was taking the first step. You're still not sure if and how you're going to tell your family or your partner, but you figure you'll deal with that when the time comes. Either way, you feel relieved that you managed to see this through instead of being paralyzed with worry over it. Even if nothing comes of it, you did something you said you would instead of flaking out or running away. You're emotionally exhausted when you get home and collapse into bed. You sleep better that night than you have in the week. And you're not sure if it's because you were so tired when you got home, or if it's because of the therapist. So, good job, chat. We actually went and did something instead of flaking out. We're still very depressed, but our status has updated about going to the therapist. However, we still have difficulty finding the motivation to continue going to our sessions. Let's continue on. It's early on a Wednesday morning. Lately, you've developed a nasty habit of waking up 10 to 20 minutes before your alarm rings, and unfortunately today is no exception. I don't think that's a nasty habit. I wake up better if I am able to get up before my alarm goes, so I don't know. You lay in bed, each minute ticking closer and closer to wake-up time, and passing on a swelling wave of ever-encroaching dread. Sooner than you would like, your alarm blares with caustic inevitability. You frantically pound the snooze button and retreat under your blankets, as if the warmth of your comforter can shield you from the passage of time. You almost always have difficulty rising from bed, but today that simple task seems nothing short of Herculean. After several snooze cycles, you decide that you just can't deal with work today. You're incapable of even rousing yourself from bed, let alone going into work and having to force yourself through a workday. Not to mention you've snoozed so many times that it would be impossible to make it on time now anyways. What do you do? So, red is 2, blue is 3. It looks like most of you saying that we should head into work, which is probably the right thing to do. It's probably a bad thing to try to hide from our daily life, our daily responsibilities. In spite of the fact that your body is actively fighting you literally every step of the way, you somehow manage to drag yourself out of bed and make your way into work. Surprisingly, you end up only being about 5 minutes late, and nobody seems to notice or care. Though when you woke up, the simple act of being even physically present at your job seemed like an impossibility, and you were surprised at your own ability to push on through the day. While you're far from enjoying, or indeed even really coping with the dullness of your job today, you seem to have slipped into a trance-like state of automation, and time is nevertheless passing. Eventually, the end of the day rolls around, and you head home, utterly exhausted, but at the same time, almost proud of yourself for having stuck it out. It looks like our depression status has increased. It's improved. We're not seriously depressed, but we are still depressed. But it's a good thing we made it into work today, trying to function as a real human being. It's 2 a.m. on a Sunday, and you have work in the morning. You roll over to see the sickly green glow of the time displayed on your LED alarm clock and let out an exasperated sigh. You've been trying to fall asleep for over 3 hours now to no avail. Every time your head hits the pillow, you're overcome with anxious thoughts that wrap themselves around each other. Worries about your job lead to worries about your future, lead to worries about your very identity. And you're unable to shake them off long enough to doze off. Your eyes won't even stay shut as your mind races through imagined scenarios going horribly wrong, which you promptly attribute to your general worthlessness. Your thoughts run too fast for you to come to a satisfying conclusion on any one of them. Your room is completely silent, but the silence is given way to a loud static noise rattling around inside your head. Your heart beats loudly and you worry it's beating a little too fast. You worry that if you focus too strongly on your racing heart, you'll freak yourself out hard enough that you'll have a heart attack. You have to be awake for work in the myriad hours, and you know that your work is so much worse on only a few hours sleep. So from a description, it sounds like our main character is in Silent Hill and is transferring over to the other world with all the static. Game's probably trying to be a bit too serious for that to actually happen, though. Okay, so all of these choices are crossed out because we just can't do it. We just can't do it. We only have one choice: go to your computer. And isn't that always the only choice? We don't want to do anything. We'll just go right to the computer, go online, and waste time until we die. I don't know why people are confused. This is obviously Virtue's Last Reward that we're playing. Isn't it? It's very clear. You get out of bed and head to your desk. Laying in bed with nothing but your thoughts to keep you company makes you feel like you're going insane. The harshness of the light coming from the screen makes you squint as you turn it on, despite how often you find yourself in this exact situation. There have been so many nights lately just like this. As you begin reading a news story, an online friend of yours IMs you. "You're up late again, I see." Can't sleep. Again. Thinking too much again? Thinking. You guessed it. Frowny face. Want to talk about it? You end up talking with Attic for quite some time about how you've been feeling. He's always been easy to talk to about personal matters, and the added security of talking online helps. Being able to rethink what you say as soon as you type it out and check it before you send it out helps you gather your thoughts. And you find it less intimidating in a way to type it all into a prompt than to say it out loud. Yes, I do like the screen name, Hugs Bosun. That's a bit better than I thought our character would be able to come up with. I don't want to be that guy who thinks they can diagnose something because I read a Wikipedia article, but it kind of sounds like you might have depression. You should talk to someone about that, like a doctor. You pause. Are you really that transparent? Or is it that you've gotten used to talking about your feelings at this point? Your insomnia makes you a little paranoid, but you shake it off. We can do some research and see if there's a good doctor near you. It's not like you're going back to sleep anytime soon anyway. Might as well do something when you're awake, smiley face. So, what do we do? How do we respond to our online friend, Attic? Red is 2, blue is 3. Okay, it looks like that you're saying that we should tell him that we have indeed spoken to someone about our, well, I wouldn't say possible depression. I would say it's pretty certain at this point that we do seriously have depression. So actually, I have talked to someone about it. Oh, okay. I'm glad you're taking that step. I heard it's not an easy one. I know people kind of suck at understanding this sort of stuff sometimes, but there's nothing wrong with having depression. You wouldn't be ashamed to have bronchitis or something, so there's no reason to be ashamed if it's your brain that's sick instead. Attic is quite wise. You spend a few more minutes talking with Attic about your therapy and your feelings about it. He's incredibly supportive, and you're happy to find that you have a confidant that understands your illness and is willing to lend an ear when you're having nights like this. A little while later, you fall back into bed, kitten in tow, and find it easier to drift off to sleep. Even in therapy, you know you're still going to have nights like these sometimes. It's good to know you have a friend that will help you carry through them. No choices, so I guess we're just going on to the next one. It's a chilly Thursday night, and you've just gotten off work. This has felt like one of the longest days you've faced in recent memory. Even though nothing exceptional has happened, a ton of minor things kept going wrong, and coworkers have tried your patience throughout the day. You consider leaving work early, but the last thing you wanted to do was deal with your insufferable boss on top of everything else. You're lost in thought on the commute home, and your feelings of frustration both with your life and the world around you build as you run into minor annoyances like someone bumping into you really hard as they walk by. By the time you get home, you're exhausted and remember that these feelings were ones you identified as a negative feedback loop with your therapist. These pent-up feelings aren't dying down, and they're eating at you. You open your front door and stare at your apartment. An overwhelming feeling of exhaustion overcomes you, and you feel like your energy levels are low enough that you'll likely settle into a single activity tonight. What do you do? So, 2 is red, blue is 3. We could reach out to someone close to us, or don't bother anyone with our problems. It looks like everyone's saying we need to reach out to someone. Your head feels too noisy. You need to trade it for some actual conversation. Your therapist did say that it was important to reach out to your support network, so you might as well give it a shot. Who do you call? So, our first choice is crossed out for some reason. I don't know why Sam's crossed out. But red is 2, blue is 3, green is 4. So either our mother, Alex, or Malcolm. And it looks like people are saying we should talk to Alex because she is our girlfriend. And going from this game, apparently we have not spoken to her at all since the party, I guess? Or that one night where we didn't go out and just watch Netflix. For being our girlfriend, she really has not been part of our lives very much, has she? Okay, so let's talk to Alex. You dial Alex, who picks up after only 2 rings. You ask if she has time to talk, and she tells you that she's just hanging around in her PJs and is actually somewhat bored for once due to being caught up on her coursework. You try to figure out where to start with how you're feeling and are overcome with missing her face. You ask if she feels like grabbing some dinner, and you notice her barely contained surprise and delight on the other end of the line. You meet about half an hour later in an inexpensive diner not far from your apartment. While the food is not great, you're surprised by how much of your mood seems to have been elevated just by being in her company. While at first you were extremely hesitant to talk about your job situation for fear of being burdensome or sounding like a whiner, you see her listening intently to you with what even seems to be genuine concern. After winding down with a beer, you cautiously open up a little bit more about your feelings surrounding your job and how drained it leaves you feeling. How you feel like you're simply existing, selling days of your life for no real purpose. You surprise even yourself when you start talking about how frustrated and stymied you feel by your job, about how you used to feel passionately about things, but feel like all of your energy and capacity for creativity is getting leached out of you each and every workday. You can't remember how long it's been since you've externalized this much raw emotion. The two of you spend several hours in that diner booth, long after your half-eaten food was cleared and the waitress stopped refilling your coffee cups. As you get up to leave, a sudden wave of self-consciousness washes over you, and you feel incredibly awkward. Then Alex stands up and grabs you tightly around the waist. You realize that, short of boring her with seemingly endless rants, she's simply happy to have gotten a chance to spend time, real time, with you. It's been, by all accounts, incredibly too long since you've allowed yourself to open up like this, and there's an almost palpable feeling of closeness you allow yourself to hold on as you go to bed that night. Well, it sounds like we actually made some progress there. We actually opened up to our girlfriend, to Alex, and this was something that not only we needed, but I guess she needed as well, because she felt that we weren't being close with her. We were not opening up, and that was true. We really weren't. She had a feeling that she was not a big part of our lives, and that seems accurate, because we have not been seeing her at all, or really making her a part of our lives. This has gone on for another half an hour, and I really did not expect Depression Quest to go on for this long, so I think we're going to stop this for right now and pick up again next week. Because I thought we'd do this in 1 week, but I didn't realize that that it would take this long to actually go through Depression Quest. But this seems like a good point to leave off with it, though, having made some progress with Alex, and both of you and her both feeling a bit better about this whole situation. So I'm going to stop the stream for right now. We'll pick it up, because I actually don't know how long it's going to be before we finish Depression Quest. And honestly, my throat is getting kind of parched by reading all this. So, we'll pick it up next week with more Depression Quest, more Kitty, and more girlfriend, possibly more therapist. We'll see about that. And I'll stop the stream right now, and we'll be right back with Planet Stronghold as we all get over our collective depression with Tom Schatz. I'll see you in a few minutes.